his 50th anniversary, and I yield to my good colleague who had the wisdom to set up this moment of special order.
But Sam, if there was wisdom, it was because you suggested it. Don't run off. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about your service. I think if we asked the chair if it would be possible, or the speaker, if it would be possible to enter the President's proclamation into the official House record, it might actually happen. So I would request that, and we. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sam, the President's words were very touching to me, and I know they were to you because we were part of the Peace Corps, and we still are. Not some role here in Congress, but rather because once you're a Peace Corps volunteer, you never leave the service of peace. Talk to me about where you served and the work that you did as a Peace Corps volunteer.
Well, John, I went into the Peace Corps right after graduating from college in 1963. I knew I wanted to be called for that service. I'd done Air Force ROTC in college, and I'd worked overseas for a cousin who had a factory in Argentina. It was my cross-cultural experience, and I realized that once I got bitten by wanting to see other languages and other cultures, that when the Peace Corps was announced, that's what I do. And I thought when I left the Peace Corps, when I went in, I thought when I leave, I'll probably come back and be a high school biology teacher. Well, my background had been in science, and I went to do urban community development, which means we were listening to what we call the felt needs of very poor people in a very poor barrio that didn't have any water, lights. And we were taught, and it was very interesting because it's been probably one of the best teachings I've ever had in my life, is don't go down there and just tell them what you want to do based on your values, because you're going to be in a country that doesn't have infrastructure. Your main thought and idea will be about cleanliness, because you haven't lived in dirt before, and you don't have garbage pickup, and you don't have that infrastructure. Don't let your values not allow you, open your eyes and your ears and listen, look before you leave. And that is really great advice, because I think in politics you really do have to be a good listener. So we listened to the community, and what they wanted to do was first build a soccer field. Well, I thought, I played soccer, but I have no idea the dimensions of a field. I don't know how you do this. It didn't matter. It was just like, okay, they need a motivational force. And I'm there, and I said, okay, let's, how do we do this? Got some shovels, got some picks, where do you want to do it? And we did it. And what was interesting is that they had never worked together in a community project. So the teachings there were community development. How do you get from there on? We went to build schools, and we put in sewers, all by hand, by the way. And we had to go downtown to get to the municipal government to get the sewer pipes and to get its bags of cement. So that petitioning of government, going down, and it woke, and it was a long story, but quickly, it woke me up to thinking, I'm in another country. I can't vote here. I'm petitioning government. I won't be able to vote for or against it. We got poverty in America. The book had come out, The Other America, which showed there was a lot of poverty in the United States. Why don't I go home and petition my own government to right wrongs? And here I am in the United States Congress.
Well, before you arrived here, you spent many years in the California legislature, where I had the privilege of working with you. You started the discussion about your own Peace Corps experience by answering the call to action. President Kennedy's very famous call: ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I know that for you and for myself, and even more so for my wife Patty.
Well, you did it even more so, because you were married, you were a rock star athlete out of California. You were at the University of California, Berkeley. I mean, and be married and to take that risk of sort of walking away from what was just the ideal life to go off to Ethiopia.
Well,
must have been incredible pull.
Well, certainly the pull personally, but much more important than that was the pull that Patty exerted upon me. I had an opportunity to play professional football, but turned that down to get married and to spend a 2-year honeymoon in the far western part of Ethiopia, where there was no running water, and we literally lived in a wado, which is a mud walled home with a corrugated tin roof and an outhouse out back. And it turned out to be the most marvelous honeymoon, and it's still going on now, some almost 46 years later. So, you know, it was a beautiful opportunity for us to serve. And then the rest of what you said is a Peace Corps volunteer never leaves a life of service. We transform it into many, many ways. Lois Kapp talked about 4 or 3 examples from her own district of Peace Corps, returned Peace Corps volunteers, and the way they inserted themselves into their communities for service, and in one case, international food.
Would you share for me, I got here a little late, maybe you already did, but